So hi guys, now we are going to discuss in that peasants in feudal system. So during feudal system, how were the peasants and peasants in what sectors they were divided? They were divided into four sectors, namely serfs, freeholders, villeins, freemen. Okay, now what is serfs means? They were bound to land. They had the authority and they were need to work on the land of their lots without any compensations. They have to fulfill all the labor duties and demands that were instructed by their lots. They were not free individuals, they didn't have any personal freedom. They were tied to the land. So a transfer of land, transfer of ownership, the serfs have to move to another lord's companion. They have to go to another lord's land and they have to work over there without any compensation, again same bound to the land. So serfs, they were liberated serfs. Liberated serfs were freemen who were granted freedom by the laws. These were different type of serfs. They were liberated serfs, far different from these serfs. They were granted freedom by their lords. They were not bound to land and enjoyed personal liberty and they were paid wages. So another comes this freeholders. So freeholders, independent laborers. So a matching or a most relatable word. Freeholder, independent laborers. So they obtained their land directly from their lord. They were also peasants. They used to work in the lord's land. They used to obtain their land directly from the lord. Unlike serfs, freeholders enjoyed personal freedom. They enjoyed personal freedom. They were required to pay a fixed determined tax to lord during change of land. They were paying like a rently wages to the lord, such that the peasants could stay in their land and they could work over there. So villeins, they are partially free laborers. So villeins are partially free laborers. Similarly to freeholders. So villeins are partially free laborers. They were similar to freeholders. Acquired their land from the lord. They worked for the lord for specific days and specific number of working days. They enjoyed personal freedom. They paid. They got paid to the lord in form of portion of the agriculture produce. So they paid tax to the lord in form of portion of agricultural produce. So in liberated serfs they used to pay tax to the lord in form of cash money. In freeholders also they had to pay tax in form of cash or money. But in villeins they are partially free laborers, such that they had to pay taxes to the lord in form of portion of agricultural produce. So what they have produced in agriculture farmland, they had to give a portion of the agriculture produce to their lords. So this comes the difference between serfs, freeholders. Liberated serfs, they were called as freemen, and villeins. So serfs were bound to land, freeholders were independent laborers, liberated serfs were freemen, villeins were partially free laborers.